Give me 1 second. Pray everything is well with all of you. All right, let me turn this down here. Good morning. Okay, yeah, good morning. All right. All right. I'm not going to be on I'm not going to say that. I'm going to be on for long enough. Because all of us who come on say, I'm not going to be on too long. And then we're on like 4 hours. We're not doing that. First and foremost, hello. Keith K.L. Belvin here, crisis specialist, author, professional counselor, and educational consultant. Yes, I wear a few hats, and they're all interconnected, believe it or not. I pray everything is well with you. And first and foremost, I want to thank you for taking the time watching, taking the time and investing the time in watching me. And so I want to talk about letting go of your pain and how you're blocking your happiness. And the reason why this came about was because, okay, I got my light here. Because what happened was I noticed that I've been over on TikTok, by the way. So if some of you want to come and hang out with me, I've been over on TikTok with the young folks. But there's a lot of old heads over there playing around. But yeah, I've been on TikTok. I'm on all the apps. I just been focusing on connecting with folks on TikTok. And one of the things that I noticed is that a lot of people are, or they may not know this, but amidst their happiness, you can see the unhappiness. And I hope that makes sense to somebody. So if it does, please put a 1 in the chat. Please put a 1 in the chat if you have an idea of what I'm talking about. What I mean by that is you will see them display like everything is happy, right? And then you'll have these moments of unhappiness. And I can see the struggle and I can see the war. And one of the things that I try to do, especially as a Christian counselor, right? For me, I'm going to lean on faith because I am a man of faith. But I do understand not everybody that I work with is connected to a spiritual positioning. I got that. And because of that, I have to be mindful of ways to be able to offer people to be able to find peace, where for me, I find it in my spiritual positioning. For somebody else, it may be something different. So here's what I want to address. And this is for my secular folks. This is for my secular folks as well as for my my Christian folks or whatever faith you may represent. We have to learn to let pain go. I want to say that again. We have to learn to let pain go. We as people tend to immerse pain into the cake and be okay with it. We accept it. We just go, that's the way life is. Life is not always going to be happy. I get that. I understand. But that doesn't mean that we have to embrace and hold on to the negatives. Now you may go, Keith, aren't they mutually exclusive to each other? They can be. Negative times are going to happen the longer you stay on this planet. It has happened to all of us. Some we can control and some we cannot. Here's what we can control, guys, and please listen. You can control how you feel about even the worst situation. Now, it takes some work. It takes some work. But you can control how you feel even in the midst of some of the worst things going, because God built us that way. God built us with the ability to embrace a lot, but he also gave us the abilities to purge a lot, even if it means locking in on some very small things to keep our sanity, to keep our happiness. The late John McCain, when he was at the Hanoi Hilton during the Vietnam War, he had got shot down. And he was inside and he was getting beaten every day. He was getting beat as an American fighter pilot. He was getting beat every day. he got beaten so bad that he actually could not, when he passed away, when he got home, he couldn't lift his arms above his shoulders. And they said, how were you able to endure all of that punishment? How were you able to keep yourself sane? How were you able to make it through? He said, me and some of the other men, he said, we couldn't see each other except when they let us out to get some air or whatever. He said, we would sing. And he said, I would pray. And he said that he would remind himself that God is going to make a way out of this. And he said he held on to the idea of that he needs to be strong for the other people that are in this situation with him. So he did not allow his situation to get him to a point where it broke him down. Now that's finding happiness, finding a way to stay sane, finding a way to just hold your position in the midst of something terrible. So of course, and here's the crazy part, I learned this about John McCain also. Because his father was a very well-known person in the Navy, he could have got out of the situation himself, but he would have had to leave his men. They had worked it out that the Vietnamese was going to let him go home. But he said, no, I'm going to stay with the men here. So he had positioned himself in the midst of all this negativity, a way to stay locked in on the what could be, because he didn't allow himself to be so absorbed into what is. And you saw and heard some of the same things from Mandela being in jail for 27 years when he really didn't commit any crime. It was the mindset of that this is going to be better, being able to hold on to something positive that even in the midst of a negative situation, he strengthened himself emotionally and mentally. It's emotionally, which is mentally. So what's that say about us? Many of us, the prison that we're in is self-made. Many of us are in a prison from pain that came from somebody else that we were dealing with that we hold on to now when we don't have to. And it's crazy because, hey, baby, that's the wife. Hey, Michelle. Hey, Flex. Sorry, I couldn't see you guys. And many of us are caught into that prison where we're letting our negative situations dictate so much that we can't be completely happy. Now, some of you will say, Keith, how can I be happy if things are not going well? Great question. Great question. It is because you're breathing. You're still here. And as long as you draw life, you have a way to get out and out from under what's going on. As long as you have your senses, you can still figure some things out. And I know it's going to be difficult. Now, trust me, just because I say it easy doesn't mean that it is easy. It requires work. But it hurts when I see so many people embrace negativity that they don't have to, which hurts their happiness. They could be happy, but they just don't want to, or they try to fuse the two together and think that that's going to be okay. It's not. Especially on social media. And social media is worse because social media can continue to feed us a steady diet of things that we don't like. Don't get it twisted. There's a lot of people on social media just absorbing things that's making them feel uncomfortable, which is continuing their pain. And the hard part with that is, do you know that if you do that long enough, you won't actually be able to recognize true happiness? Do you know how many people who are still so bent out of shape over a previous bad relationship that when a new person comes and they have all the things necessary to make that person happy, the person will literally submarine the relationship, just straight sabotage it because the idea of being happy is so foreign that they can't allow themselves to accept it. And they literally get upset and they literally get fearful. So they blow the relationship up. Do you know how many of us are hurt from previous relationships that we just are out here lying? Every time a camera's on, I'm good. Listen, I'm okay. You want to date? I'm all right. When we're so broken that we want to bring somebody in and pour this unhappiness on them. That's why things seem so cool at first and then all of a sudden spiraled into negativity. And marriages are not even getting past 3 years now. Average marriage now, like 2 years, and then it's blown up. And once you start getting to a certain age, you don't want to have to keep starting over. Nobody wants to be the old dude or the old chick at the club, but yet there's more and more of them every day. So share this with me, right? And I want you to be very honest with me and put it in the chat below. How many of us right now as I speak, is holding on to some negatives that you would love to get rid of? Put it in the chat right now. Just put me. You don't have to tell me what it is. I don't want anybody to out themselves. We're not going to have a counseling session like this. But if you're holding on to some negatives that you know is negative, put it in the chat right now. Put me in the chat right now. Put it in the chat. I'll go back to read it. I'm going to go back to read it later on when I go back to watch, because I'm on a couple different platforms right now. And I'm going to tell you why that's important. Because if you already know that you're holding on to some negativity, that means you're not fully happy. And many of us, we live vicariously through other people. We find couples that we really like looking at. We find movies with certain themes. We find other things to help supplement the happiness that we don't have, and then try to fake it till we make it. That's actually the thing, right? I think, is that the Vegas thing? Fake it till you make it. And I don't know how faking anything is actually going to get you there, but they say the longer you hang around something, the more it rubs off on you. Okay, but how much time did you waste? So I don't know who needed this message today. I don't know who of you watching me right now, whenever you watch this, has areas of their lives that they're being hurt and don't know what to do with it. So here's what you need to do. One, reach out to someone like me. I am a professional counselor. What does that mean? That means I actually went to school to understand how to help you figure out what's wrong and to help you create a plan to be able to purge that unhappiness so you can fill that with something else, happiness. I asked a question on TikTok, what does real love feel like? And I already knew when I asked the question, I was going to hear from mostly women, because I deal with mostly women, who are going to say, I've never had real love. And every time I read it, I pretty much responded the same way. I can't wait to hear from you when you do. And I know it's coming. I believe that. And I'm going to tell you why I believe that. As a man of God, I believe that the God that I serve did not create everybody to be unhappy. Yes, he created some of us to go through some very negative situations. We are. Yeah, there's some folks in the Bible that went through some stuff. But I honestly believe amidst all of the negative things that you may go through inside, you're built for tough. And the happiness is there waiting on you if you can find it. If you can allow yourself to feel it amongst no matter what's happening. Us people of color in the United States suffered through slavery. One of the ways that we were able to sustain under some very egregious situations was our belief that at some point we will be free. Someday, it's even in our song, someday we'll be free. And that hope allowed us to be able to hold on to the idea of freedom, the happiness of freedom, even though we were being slaughtered. Which is proof that even in the midst of some very negative things, we were still having babies, still jumping brooms to get married, and still trying to figure out ways to get the freedom, which we did. And then when we faced other trials and tribulations, we faced those too. Just like whatever we're dealing with right now, COVID, politicians, whatever, we'll get through this too. But I'm saying to whoever's watching this, reach out to a professional to get the help that you need. But more than that, accept that you don't have all the answers. Accept that you can't fix you by yourself. And then reach out for the help that you need. Reach out. it's crazy sometimes when I hear the negatives that I hear from people when they talk about counseling, therapy, coaching. Yeah, there's bad people in the world. There's bad coaches, bad counselors, bad therapists, bad doctors, bad police, bad everything. You don't give up, because there's also great teachers, great coaches, great police, great counselors, great therapists. There's great in all professions. Just might have to dig a little bit harder. Well, you don't have to dig with me. I'm here. And I'm asking for you to consider me. It's what I do as a profession. This is what I decided to do after 20 plus years of teaching. I went back to school to do this. I didn't have to. I had the first master's degree. I went back to get the second one because I wanted to make sure I had the foundations and learn the things needed to be able to help. So I'm not just giving my opinion. I'm giving therapeutic advice coming from a professional position of research-based information, as well as my own personal experience, because I use transparency in all that I do. So I'm going to get ready to jump off, but I want whoever's watching to do this for me. I want you to like this, leave a comment, please. I would love to know what you thought about it. And then share this with somebody in your circle. And I'm going to tell you why. Somebody in your circle is dealing with happiness and sadness at the same time and thinking everything is perfectly normal. Might be you, but somebody close to you feels the same way and needs to be released from that, needs to learn how to let go of the pain and allow more happiness in. That it's okay to have sustained happiness. That sustained happiness can come, or at least you can work to go get it. So my hope is that you're moved enough to like this, share this, and leave a comment. Please leave a comment. I would like to know what you think. What you think helps me in the direction that I go in. And like I said, I'm on all social media platforms if you need to reach out to me. But my website, just look for my link. It's in the bio. You will see my Linktree link is in all my bios. And it makes it easier. Once you click on my Linktree link, it has everywhere. My websites, my social media sites, everything. I'm filming right now. It's going to go on YouTube, and it's already on Facebook and somewhere else. And I'm making moves to try to move myself into a position to help more people. So I hope that you were touched by this. I would love to hear from you. I'll definitely go back and read. So I want you to have a wonderful day. All right. Wonderful weekend. Enjoy yourself. Please be safe. And remember, the more unhappiness we hold on to, the more we block happiness from coming into our lives. When happiness and unhappiness are in the same place, unhappiness is winning because it's taking up a space that could make you more happy. Don't let that happen. I want you to come out on the other side. I am Keith K.L. Belvin, crisis specialist, author, professional counselor, and educational consultant. More importantly, I have the honest belief that when you and I get together, we can actually fix what's wrong. I believe that. That's why you see my hashtag, We Can Fix This. Have a wonderful day, guys. God bless.